Yeah, so HyperX Cloud Revolver is our latest and greatest headset. So it's got a little bit different design. You'll notice right off the bat compared to Cloud and Cloud 2. It's got a suspension design. So it's a steel frame with a headband right underneath it. You know, a typical headset is where you adjust the size, then you put it on. This one, you just put it over your head, pull down, and then it fits right away. What we love about this one is we created a studio-grade soundstage, especially for first-person shooters. So when you're playing FPS games, you know, you're looking at, you want to know where the footsteps are coming from, where the bullets are coming from. The drivers in this headset are angled, so it's very directional. That's the net effect of it. You're going to be able to tell where the opponent's coming from, kind of giving you that competitive edge. So this one is not virtual surround, but it's got the big sound to it. So it's a 3.5mm jack, and it's multi-platform compatible. There is a design change to it, and that's something we wanted to do. We wanted to kind of get away from that cloud design and put something different, you know, out in the market. But if you're a fan of Cloud and Cloud 2, you're also going to be very familiar with this because we have the memory foam on the headband and on the ear cups. So we're still talking very comfortable, also very lightweight, even though it uses steel. It's very lightweight. Yeah, it's hard to believe that in 3 short years, you know, we have about 5 different variations out there of the Cloud headset, and with Cloud Revolver being our latest. We are trying to innovate with the headsets, and you know, there's a conscious decision for HyperX. You notice even our URL is hyperxgaming.com. So when we sponsor all of the esports teams that we do, and we show up at DreamHack and ESL1, we go to those shows. Obviously, we're here at PAX East. We do all 4 PAX shows globally now, the 3 in the United States and 1 in Australia. So we're trying to increase our footprint within the gamer space. And we can do that with SSD, we can do that with memory, but the best way to really court the gaming audience is using peripherals, hence headsets and even mouse pads. So so exactly, USB 3.1 Gen 1 is basically the USB 3.0 that we've been familiar with. So the technical spec, or the very definition of 3.1 Gen 1, means you can have speeds up to 480 megabits per second. USB 2 was up to about 30 megabits per second. USB 3.0 or 3.1 Gen 1 is 480 megabits per second. So the HyperX Savage USB is the fastest USB flash drive from the HyperX family, up to 350 megabytes per second read and about 250 on the write. We start at 64 gig, and we go all the way up to 512, so you can get up to a half a terabyte on that USB drive. Yeah, if you want to go even bigger than that, we have our HyperX Predator USB 3.0. This came out a few years ago actually, and we have that 2 capacities, 512 gig and a terabyte. And I haven't actually told anybody this yet, but we're coming out with a 2 terabyte version. Probably it will definitely be later this year. So I think that, you know, everybody knows that when you're storing data on flash devices, you need NAND flash, basically chips. So to get to a terabyte, that's a lot of storage, and to get it into a small form factor too, that was the challenge. So what we did with this was, you know, we basically have 3 levels of PCB boards on that with flash chips on each level for the storage, plus there's also that controller there too. And to get that to talk to each other, you can't just have 3 separate PCB boards full of NAND storage. We actually have a special material that's in between them that connects all of the electrodes, the diodes, makes it communicate with each other. And to get that into a form factor that is roughly 2 to 2.5 inches long and maybe 3/4 of an inch wide, it's actually a butterfly shape. So that's how we get that in there, just to kind of connect, you know, to get all that in there for all the storage. It was a really cool thing. It's the first time that we've ever done anything like that, because all of our other USB drives, basically a single level PCB board. With chips, it could be on one side, or depending on capacity, chips can be on 2 sides. But when you add a terabyte, you need more than one PCB board. Sure. So with the M.2 form factor, it opens up, you know, a big world. M.2 actually is just the form factor. We know there's 5 different sizes to the M.2 form factor. For the HyperX Predator SSD, that's an M.2 form factor running in PCIe mode, so that's a lot faster. The SATA bus gets you to about 600 megabytes per second, but if you need to go beyond that, what are you going to do? You're going to use SATA Express, the SATA lanes. So this is a Gen 2x4 device, so our PCIe SSD can get to about 2,000 megabytes per second, because you're running about 500 megabytes per second per lane and we're using 4 of those. Definitely, because the standard SSDs are still SATA based. So the theoretical throughput of SATA 3, SATA 3 is 600 megabytes per second, and then with PCIe, our PCIe solution, up to 2,000 megabytes per second. Yeah, HyperX Predator DRAM. So we're actually doing a refresh of that heatsink. So it's still a little higher profile. So if you're going to use faster memory, especially on Predator, you're going to watch the clearance level you have between that and say the CPU cooler, for instance. That sometimes hovers over the memory. But HyperX Predator, it's a really cool design. It's a brand new, aggressive-looking heatsink, and we're going with faster speeds on that too. We're looking at probably somewhere on the order of 3,200 megabytes per second, so, a DDR4, and we're looking at launching the new look with the faster speeds sometime in May or June. So for a lot of DIY builders, custom PC makers, looks are very important. So which is why we make, like, say, DRAM modules in different colors, because believe it or not, it's almost like interior decorating. You want your color palettes to match, you want complementary colors. If a lot of motherboards are black, you're going to want memory that's black or red or some sort of complementary color. So when we look at our HyperX Predator, like in this system especially, we have a 64 gig kit of HyperX Predator DDR4 in there. So we're running 4x16 modules. If you look at the overall color scheme, it just blends well. The 2 SSDs that we have in there are HyperX Savage SSDs. They're running at RAID. So when you have a red and black system, very complementary of each other on a DDR4 motherboard.